Freedom is a choice. It is a decision that every person needs to make at every stage in their life. If you saw my previous video where I shared about my life journey, the common pattern of my entire life was I was always seeking freedom. Whether it be during my school days, I wanted the freedom to express myself by playing a sport, or the freedom where I was not confined to the boring classrooms in my 12th and I wanted to do something what I really love. And the freedom that I got when I went and did my sound engineering, or the freedom that I got, or the freedom that I was seeking for when I wanted to start my own business. Until the point where in 2018, when I actually developed the freedom business model, a business where you can run from anywhere in the world. In this video, I want to share with you why I started the Internet Lifestyle Hub and what is my definition of freedom and how you can truly be who you want to be and build something what you want to build that can make a difference in other people's lives with the talent and skills that you have using the freedom business model. And I'm going to decode that entire journey of that 15-year in the making, all the principles that I got. How did that all come together and how we actually put together this community called the Internet Lifestyle Hub and why I started this community. It all starts with a broken education system. It did its job in the industrial era because it was introduced by the Britishers back in the day. It had to create systems for people to learn in a particular way, batch-based, based on age, ringing bells. If you can actually compare this with factories, that is how the model was designed. And it did a great job in the industrial era, right through the 1900s, where all these developments were happening. But right now, when you look at the world, it is changing so fast. The systems what are taught in schools and colleges are kind of getting outdated, and by the time something gets approved and gets into a curriculum, it changes so fast. So for me, the core reason of why I started ILH is because I wanted to create a system where we are a new breed of teachers, mentors, and implementers who are actually building vibrant learning communities. Where, for example, if you are a mentor and you're an implementer of whatever you teach, if you can teach that to others and build a community around that, that's going to be the fastest way for someone to actually make progress. Then go through the traditional methods of rote learning and memorization and all of that stuff. Because the foundation of the conventional education system was built on the foundation of volume of information and memorization, which is completely irrelevant at the day and age that we are living in, especially in the AI age right now. So what is digital coaching? What is this new methodology of teaching that I'm talking about? This is based on the foundation of two important things. The foundation of simplification. How can we help people go from point A to point B on a simplified path, giving them steps? Whether somebody has to improve their health, or somebody has to improve their creativity, or somebody has to improve their financial situation, anything can be simplified into steps. So the first aspect of digital coaching is how can you simplify? And the second aspect is how can you gamify? How can you make learning into a game where people are in the game where learning becomes the outcome? And when I look at my journey right from the time I did my sound engineering to all the other things that I learned and self-learned, and even in the personal development world, a lot of things that I learned was because I loved what I learned. So when anyone has this love for learning and they start to apply that knowledge through a gamified experience, they not only grow, but they grow really fast. So the Internet Lifestyle Hub was founded, or the entire system has been created based on the principles of simplification, gamification, and also accelerated learning. So these are the techniques that I learned from my mentor, Blair Singer, where he says that it is not about what you teach. It's about the way you teach it. And more importantly, who you are as a person. Even when I look back in school, there were a few teachers who were amazing when they taught, and it really went so deep. And there were some teachers who were so disconnected where I could not even sit in the classroom. So it is not about the content anymore. It is about the context that you create for your students. It's about the environment that you create for your students. So in 2016, when I did Train the Trainer, I got introduced to the concept of accelerated learning. How do you create a context so that the learning becomes fun, so the learning becomes fast, so that the learning gets integrated by the students, so that the students are able to apply that knowledge really fast, and where there's nothing called failure, because in the formal system, failure is a taboo. But in this format of education, what I'm talking about, failure equals feedback. It's you've basically found a way on how not to do something and how you can improve it from one step to the other. So the reason why I started the Internet Lifestyle Hub in the beginning was, yes, I wanted to just make some extra money for myself, for my family, so I can build a business from home, so I can spend time with my wife, and my second child was on the way, was coming. So I wanted to spend more time with the family and not drive in traffic and be on the road the whole day. And I went through that journey for 7-8 years in the corporate world as well. But this time I wanted to build a model where I can be at home, I can spend time with family, with kids. I can serve people at scale using technology and video and webinars, and where people are getting impacted by the knowledge. And I can also monetize my knowledge by digitizing myself in the form of courses and coaching and multiple other training models that are there. So the first phase of Internet Lifestyle Hub, when I launched in 2018, I launched this thing called the Freedom Business Model. So the business model is based around the concept of digital ecosystems. So you take whatever expertise that you have, and then you build an ecosystem around it. Just like how Apple is an ecosystem. They get you into their world with an iPhone, and then they connect you with the App Store, and then they plug you into, say, a MacBook Pro and an iMac, and basically the entire ecosystem of Apple products is what makes it one of the richest companies in the world. So I got introduced to this concept of ecosystems, and I thought, why not design a learning ecosystem? And I was also looking at the training and coaching world, because most of the trainers and coaches before 2018, they were only doing live trainings and workshops. They would go to hotels, they would do like live workshops, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day boot camps, workshops, and nothing was happening online. It was mostly offline. And if there was anything online, it was only platforms like Udemy, Coursera, where people are selling courses. And also the sad truth was that only 5 to 10% of people even complete a course what they buy. People just impulsively buy courses, but they don't really complete those courses. So while I was looking at the patterns in the industry, while I was also getting trained on accelerated learning techniques, what I got from our master, my mentor Blair Singer, I thought, why not we infuse this together? Why not we take the best elements from the training and coaching world offline? And why not we take the best elements from the online world and the digital world? And why not we fuse that together? And that's what became the Freedom Business Model. Now, if I have to decode this still further, the Freedom Business Model is a way by which you first need to find your niche or whatever topic that you're good at. So for example, if somebody is really good at teaching flute, for example. Now, that's the first step, is identifying the topic that you want to teach. The second step is identifying who do you want to teach it to. Now, if you want to teach flute to a teenager, you need to approach that in a different way compared to teaching flute to maybe an adult. Or maybe if you want to teach flute to a completely different demographic, you have to adapt the learning and the curriculum and everything based on who you want to teach. So the first step is finding your niche. The second step is designing your curriculum. And the third step is digitizing your knowledge. So how do you digitize your knowledge? There are so many ways you can digitize. You can digitize your knowledge by taking this idea of flute and converting them into different stages of products. For example, you can have a basic level flute playing course where if they just watch your videos and complete those videos, they're able to practice on their own. And while they're watching the pre-recorded courses, also bring them into live coaching where you also evaluate their performance, let them submit their playing, and then where you can give them some kind of a feedback on how they can improve. And what we do in the Freedom Business Model is we also have something called as hackathons. Hackathons are where these are like live challenges where I teach for 1 hour and I make them do for 1 hour. And then they finish from one mission to the next mission to the next mission. So by the time they finish all the 9 missions that we completed in 9 months, in 3 months, people are ready and they're fully equipped and skilled to go out there and launch. So similarly, coming back to the flute example, let's say you have the pre-recorded courses where you teach the foundational elements and you supplement that with live training elements. That really puts them into practice mode, implementation mode. And also when you connect them to a community of people and a peer-to-peer learning, that accelerates this entire game to a whole different level. So the freedom business model system is about helping people find their niche, design curriculums with gamification, digitizing their knowledge, putting your students through challenges, and monetizing the knowledge. Now, the monetization part is where most people, they get stuck. They love teaching, but they do not know how to sell. And there are so many different selling models that are there. You can sell using YouTube videos like this. You can sell products through Instagram Reels. You can sell products by directly sending them to a website, to a landing page, where people can read something and buy something. But the most innovative selling model that we developed in Internet Lifestyle Hub is called the webinar selling formula. It's a formula where you invite people into a 60, 90 minute or a 2-hour webinar where you do three things. Number one is you educate people. So if somebody wants to learn the basics of flute, you educate them and you tell them more about what is the best way to actually learn the flute. The second is you engage with them. Participate in the comments, ask them to ask you questions, you give them clarity, give them the entire journey. And the third is you set the expectations. You tell them that, okay, if you really are serious about taking this as a passion of learning for a long period of time, let's say playing the flute, this is what is expected of you. You got to be regular for our classes, you got to go through our challenges, you got to complete our courses. And then at the end of that webinar, you don't just sell a course, you sell a membership. Now that's been the game-changing idea that we've introduced in the Internet Lifestyle Hub since 2019, 2020, because before that I was just selling courses. Now you're going to be selling a membership into a community. And what are you going to get as part of the membership? You're going to get a challenge that they go through. You're going to give them courses. You're going to give them community support. You're going to give them weekly coaching calls, group coaching, where you're going to answer their questions. And you're also going to certify them as they complete the different milestones of gamification. So this packaging and selling has been one of the, I would say it's been one of the most innovative ways to get people to buy products at scale. And this is what has created 1,000 crore impact in our coaching industry in the last few years. Like every single top coach that you would see who are doing webinars today, in one way or the other, they have learned from the Internet Lifestyle Hub. They've learned the webinar selling formula that I launched in the year 2019. So now when I zoom back, when I talk about why I started the Internet Lifestyle Hub, yes, initially it is just to help people launch courses. But now it has come to a point where I truly want every person coming into this system to really carry forward that flag and the spirit of how Nalanda University used to be. Nalanda University had 2,000 teachers. It had 10,000 students. And India was the wisdom hub of the world, where the entire world would come and learn from this place. And as some of you know, Bhaktiar Khilji came and he burned down Nalanda, and it took more than 3 months for the libraries to burn down. And that was the amount of knowledge that we had back then. And of course, the next era that came after that was the Gurukul system of education, where, irrespective of what family that you were born in, people would come and learn under a teacher, and the teacher would then take those students and put them into different aspects of society based on their inclinations, their aspirations, and their attitudes. Whether they would go into administration or whether they would go into be more like the intelligence behind it, or they would be more into business, or they would just be the support system. There were all these different classes, and society was based on people's aptitudes. And that was the system of education before the education system that we have right now. Then the Britishers came in the 1900s and they introduced the current education system that we are experiencing right now. So what I feel is we are right now at a stage in the history of the world where Internet Lifestyle Hub and what we're doing here, we want to revive that spirit of what Nalanda used to be, where it's all about learning communities. So while people are having digital tools, while people are having digital systems, ultimately the process of learning is a combination of self-discovery and also being a part of the right mentorship. and being a part of their communities. So community learning has always been there in our culture. Community learning has always been there as part of society. But what happened over the years, it became more from community to factory. And Internet Lifestyle Hub, I created this in the beginning. Yes, we want to make people launch their courses and all of that stuff. But now it has evolved in over time, where we are not here to just make people launch courses, but we want them to build vibrant learning communities and to revive that spirit of Nalanda, because now we are over 35,000 students impacting millions of other students through this particular network of teachers and leaders and coaches and trainers that we have in our system. So the freedom business model that I developed is basically taking all the essential elements of whatever I had learned so far in the coaching industry and then reconnecting it back to the past of how we used to be the wisdom hub of the world, and amalgamating all of that into a powerful learning system and environment, which is what I call the freedom business model, which is helping people find their topic, what they are really congruent with. Back in the day, we used to use the word swabhava, what is their innate nature, what is their innate quality that they are born with, the gifts that they are born with. Help them connect with that and take it from there to designing curriculums that are progressive, that are simplified, that are gamified, that are digital. Then from there, you digitize it through courses, and then you activate your community through games. You activate your community through hackathons. You basically put people into taking action together as groups and activate peer-to-peer learning. In other words, people used to travel from all over the globe to come to India to learn in a place like Nalanda. Now imagine you can actually create your own ecosystem of learning, and people from all over the world can just tune in and plug into your learning social network, and you can start teaching others whatever knowledge that you have. And the best part is, it's not about just you teaching others. It's about you learning along with your students. Because in the last 7 years of me nurturing a community of 35,000 people, I have learned more from my students than my students have learned from me. Because every week I show up, I answer questions, I try to find out what are their challenges, and based on what their challenges, I go and do my own research, I go and do my own testing, and then I design new products, I design new courses based on their needs, not based on what is there in my head. And this whole process has not only transformed me as a person, it has transformed thousands, if not multiple millions of people directly and indirectly over the last few years. So at this point of time, as I'm sharing in this video, we are more than 30,000 members in Internet Lifestyle Hub. Our top students collectively have generated more than 1,000 crores in revenue that I've been able to audit so far. And there are so many others, there are so many more unaudited numbers that I do not know, because right now India is moving in massively into the digital space that you've noticed in the last few years. People are spending more time on social media than ever before. People are more interested in being a part of genuine learning networks like this. They don't want, because many of them have bought all kinds of courses over the years, and many of them also burned their hands in different programs. And now we have come to a point and maturity in the learning space digitally in India and of course globally, to a point where people want to learn from others who are genuine, who are authentic, who truly are walking the talk and leading with value, and not just selling some fluff and just operating from a space of me. Okay, we are now transitioning into a world where people are more aware than ever before. People are getting information from all over the place, and Internet Lifestyle Hub, I can say, is like the rebirth of Nalanda, where we stand on values, we stand on our codes of honor, and we want every teacher who's coming into the space to operate from those core principles and value systems so that they can inculcate those value systems into their students. Because today we are living in a world where there's a lot of polarity, there's a lot of duality. So many people are fighting wars, and there's so much of stuff happening. And the solution to every problem that we can see in this world, it comes down to good leadership. And while we all know that the education system is kind of getting outdated, what's going to change the education system is you. You being a teacher, a leader, somebody who can even handhold and uplift maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 people with whatever skills and knowledge that you have. And once we see this accelerate over the next few years, it's going to go magical. And as I was analyzing where this is going to go in the next 10 to 15 years, there are 5 stages that I want to share with you. The first stage is we're seeing a rise of personal brands. A lot of people who are building their influence on Instagram, building their influence on YouTube, building their influence through podcasts and so on. But many of these influencers, they have come to realize that they cannot depend on those platforms, because once the algorithms change, even their reach would reduce, and many people have lost their audience overnight. So many influencers and personal brands are beginning to realize that they need to have their own private networks. So that's the second phase that's happening right now, is people who are building their influence online, they are starting to create their own private networks. So I look at the entire internet as a huge ocean. And in this ocean, we have YouTube and Instagram and Facebook as big continents sitting over there. Now, what I'm encouraging people to do after coming into the Internal Lifestyle Hub is to create their own digital island of knowledge. Imagine you are an expert in your topic and you create your own island of knowledge where people are coming to learn from you on a specific topic. And that's what I call as a private social network. The third phase is, once you build your own island of knowledge, is where you start collaborating with other islands of knowledge. For example, I have collaborations with many top coaches. I send people to them, they send people to me, and there's a beautiful cross-pollination that's happening in our communities where people are learning from different ecosystems. And once we see a rise of these collaborations between these learning networks or ecosystems, what I see happening is the logical next step that the world is waiting for is an alternate education system for the world. Because when we have so many people accept these ecosystems of learning and knowledge as places for them to go and learn from their mentors who are implementers, once the masses accept these hubs as learning hubs, we will have a new education system for the world. Of course, the formal education system will still remain, universities will still remain, but where there's more progressive, active, engaged, gamified learning, the fun is going to be happening in these ecosystems. And the logical outcome of this is, when the masses accept these learning hubs as the alternate education system of the world, the only thing that's going to happen is we're going to have a rise of a golden age in learning, a golden age in every part of the industry. As I mentioned before, we are living in a world of polarity, duality, where there are so many problems, and every problem can be solved if we can have more and more people become teachers and leaders and facilitators. Because currently in India, only 0.6% of our country are teachers. And these are not the teachers who teach like the way that we do. I'm talking about accelerated learning, all the techniques that I teach. It's a very different methodology. And if we can even make 1% of our country into teacher leaders, not just teacher professors, but teacher leaders, we are going to see a new India emerge. We're going to see a new rise in people's consciousness across the world in any field of education. And ultimately, when you look at it, people only have 5 or 6 problems. They either have a career problem, or they have a business problem, or they have a money problem, or they have a relationship problem, or they have a health problem, or maybe a creativity problem. They want to improve their creativity. So as humans, we only have these 6 problems. And if we as teachers and leaders can pick any one problem that you want to solve and build a community around it, that's going to change the game. So I just want to say that the reason why I started the Internal Lifestyle Hub is to build more ecosystems like this. And by the year 2030, we want to inspire at least 1 million people build their own learning social network. So that together, when these learning social networks start to interact with each other, and there's more collaboration happening in a fast-paced digital world where AI is like racing at a totally different speed, the human-to-human connection is going to get better and better, and people are going to make progress faster and faster. So in the next video, I'm going to be sharing with you on what it takes, because this may seem like a good idea to you right now, but it requires courage to actually make it happen. And I will share with you in the next video on what it takes to build your courage, irrespective of what your background is, so that you can actually go out there, put your flag in the ground and say, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm going to do. and of course, create a result out of it. What kind of result? Feel more fulfilled first as a person, that yes, you're doing what you love. 2 is feel the fulfillment of serving others. And 3 is feel the fulfillment of the finances, of the money that you can actually make, because this is going to become a $1 trillion industry in the next few years, and it's already on its rise. Now we just need more people with the right intentions, with the right value systems, and who are authentic, who can lead, teach, and inspire others. I'll catch you in the next video.